nutrition talk number 3. I've done the last 2 over the past month. What we've talked about first, we've debunked the whole calorie myth about like, hey, to lose weight, you need to eat less and you need to move more, okay? While that works in the short term, it's not the permanent solution to weight loss. It actually is a detriment to it because it slows your metabolism and things like that. Talked about, hey, the ultimate solution to weight loss is going to be rebalancing hormones. I spoke a lot about insulin, specifically insulin being that hormone that is completely out of whack in our society today based on what we've been eating. So I've talked about getting away from sugar, getting away from processed foods, getting away from that stuff, moving, getting your metabolism ramped back up by moving more, by lifting weights, because that builds bone density, builds muscle mass, and so that also in turn increases our basic metabolic rate. Here's what I'm going to do today. I am going to set the stage for what I will talk about over the next 2 weeks. Setting the stage for a tool that you can use, a very effective tool that you guys can use to ultimately lose the weight that you want to for good, but also really optimize your health and performance, okay? And that tool is fasting. I know it's got quite a buzz right now, intermittent fasting and things like that. But I'm going to talk about why we would want to do that, and then when we talk again, I'm going to give some different protocols on what you can do to try this out for yourself. So today I want to start off by talking about basically just the metabolism of sugar, okay? And it's going to be another kick to the crotch with processed foods and why you should stay away from them, okay? A couple of sugars specifically I want to talk about. One is glucose, and the other is fructose. Glucose and fructose. Glucose is the sugar that's moving around in your blood. When diabetics test their blood sugars, they are testing the amount of glucose that is in their blood. Now, here's the deal with glucose. Yes, it spikes insulin levels. Yes, it does do that. But glucose is absorbable or usable by virtually every cell in your body. So when you guys are moving to do squats and things like that, your muscles are using glucose, okay? Your brain, to keep cognitive function up and things like that, uses glucose for energy. If we have a situation where we have too much glucose, then we can store in our muscles and our liver. We can also turn that glucose into fat and it gets stored as fat cells. So it's a unique sugar. Fructose, on the other hand, is quite different than glucose. And what I mean by that is you eat some food and it has fructose in it and it gets into your bloodstream. It is not readily usable in your muscles or in your brain or anything like that. It can't those cells in your body can't use it. The only place in your body that metabolizes fructose is in your liver, okay? It's in your liver. So here's how it works. You eat fructose and insulin, that's kind of our hormone that moves and unlocks cells to take in the sugar. Insulin is basically shuttling fructose into the liver. So imagine this, your liver is a balloon, and right now it's deflated. As we eat that meal, the balloon becomes inflated with fructose. It's at that point that your liver is going to metabolize that and turn that into several things. It'll turn the fructose into glucose. It'll also change it into lactose, which is another sugar. But we can also store that glucose in our liver in the form of glycogen. Our liver has a finite amount of storage that it will hold some stored glucose for later use. Also, your liver has the ability to turn that glucose into fat cells. It's called de novo lipogenesis, which is turning glucose into fat in your liver. And this is a normal process. Now, you go through a period of time where you fast. And basically, here's how it works, okay? This is how it works. Anytime you're not eating, you're fasting. So you guys are basically fasting right now. So your balloon is in the process of deflating, shuttling stuff into the cells of the body that need it for energy, okay? It's a normal process. The problem is we get derailed, the process gets derailed when we don't deflate the balloon. How do we not deflate the balloon? Well, we aren't active enough to move enough to have that energy, those energy stores pushed out. Number two, we eat the junk. We eat higher amounts of fructose than our body can manage, and we continue to inflate that balloon. So, how do we avoid the chronically inflated balloon, if you will? Number one, we need to know where fructose is at. Certainly, yes, and I will address it. Fructose is the natural sugar that's found in fruit. But there's other places that you get fructose. Table sugar, okay? Sugar is 1 molecule glucose and 1 molecule fructose. So it's a 50-50 blend. 50% glucose, 50% fructose. So you get a walloping pack of fructose every time you take in sugar, okay? Now, the one that has made the buzz over the last decade is the high fructose corn syrup. You guys are familiar with that? You've heard about that? So here's the deal. This process of turning, making table sugar from like sugar cane or sugar beets, it's not exactly an expensive process, but it's not exactly a cheap process either. 3 decades ago or so, we found that we could make really, really, really cheap sugar from the mountains of corn that our country produces. And big food companies really like that. Not only one, because it was cheap, but it has a ton of other qualities that make it really appealing to big food companies. Qualities like it's a liquid, and so it mixes well with other processed foods like flour, okay? It also is sweeter. It has a sweeter taste than sugar. It prevents freezer burn. It helps browning of foods. It increases shelf life of foods. And furthermore, it has a low glycemic index number. Okay? So if you guys are familiar with like the the glycemic index, it's the rate at which a food is broken down into blood sugar. And glucose is the highest mark on the glycemic index. It's rated at 100, okay? And the reason is like glucose is glucose, and so when you eat it, it just goes into your blood and it's turned into blood sugar very rapidly. Fructose has a low number because remember, it doesn't turn into blood glucose. What does it have to do to be converted? It has to go to your liver. So when you eat fructose, it's like a guided missile shot straight to your liver, and it addresses issues here, okay? So, we want to stay away from it. And so this is another kick to the crotch of processed food. Stay away from processed foods. It's bad, bad stuff. Now what about fruit? What about fruit? So Jamie and I were talking about it. Jamie, she's coaching for us now, but she went and got her CrossFit Health's MD L1 back in October, and since then has also attended a number of CrossFit Health seminars that have been put on in congruent with the MD L1s. And we were speaking recently about a seminar she attended and listened to Dr. Robert Lustig, who is the chief pediatric endocrinologist at the University of California, San Francisco. And here's what he's saying, that this specifically is creating fatty liver disease in kids and adults who don't drink. So it was like the fatty liver disease was everything associated with alcoholics, right? But now, their kids, adults, are getting fatty liver disease not even from drinking, but from eating too much fructose. It's deadly, deadly stuff. There was a study done in 2007. This is going to sound weird, but they did a study, and they took a control group. Both groups drank 25% of their daily calories in the form of Kool-Aid. Sounds weird, like whoa. But if you look at kids today, that's not so far off. Okay, but the control group, their Kool-Aid was sweetened with glucose. The experiment group, their Kool-Aid was sweetened with fructose. After 8 weeks, only 8 weeks, the glucose folks had no real change in their insulin levels. The fructose folks were put into a pre-diabetic state as a result of 8 weeks of that. It's deadly, so we want to stay away from it. But the question was asked of Robert Lustig, hey, what about fruit? And he basically, short form answer said, because of the combination of soluble fiber and insoluble fiber that fruit contains, it creates almost a buffer or a way at which that fructose is absorbed much later down the digestive tract, as opposed to something like high fructose corn syrup. Okay? And so it is Mother Nature's way of saying, yeah, this is how this is meant to be. So eating the orange is okay. Drinking the orange juice, no bueno. It's a different story. Okay? All right, so that sets the stage for what I'm talking about in the next couple weeks of what do we do with a chronically inflated balloon, with a liver that has high amounts of, maybe it's got fatty deposits on it. What do we do to reset that, to recapture those things, to rebalance the insulin levels and ultimately lose weight? Fasting is a great, great tool to be able to do that. It's a great tool to be able to do that. I'm in the middle of a protocol right now. In 28 days, I'm doing 12 24-hour fasts. And so I'm doing 3 24-hour fasts a week. And I'm gaining some interesting insight as a result of doing this, okay? Now, as soon as I'm done with this, which will be Friday, I'm transitioning and I'm moving into more of like eating windows where I'm going to try to eat within a 10-hour window and fast for 14 hours every day. And I'm going to check and see what kind of differences are made as a result of that, okay? So I'm going to come to you with more insight, input, and recommendations on a protocol for you guys to start playing around with fasting as a means to completely and ultimately lose the weight you want to, but also resetting the liver, because let's face it, the liver works really, really, really hard to keep us healthy. And giving that sucker a break every once in a while is an okay thing, if you know what I'm saying, all right? Questions with this? All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Good. Okay.
Just to